to
Yes,
introduce
sir.
him? Yeah, and then
Yes,
we can
sir.
start. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll have a quick introduction followed by this. Some more.
Yes, sir.
Please
Good
go
morning, all of you. I would like to introduce Anand Krishna, sir. Sir is pursuing a PhD at IISc under Dr. Narahari, sir, in the field of area of game theory. Sir has recently received the prestigious Prime Minister's Research Fellowship, and we are so happy that sir agreed to co-teach several courses, which includes data science, deep learning, and math for emerging technologies, for basically focusing on probability for 6 semester BTech and first semester MTech courses. Thank you so much, Anand Krishna, sir. DSU is extremely happy to have you as a guest teacher for CS department. A warm welcome to you. I request you to please start the session.
Yeah. Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Okay, nice. So my name is Anand Krishna, and I'm a third-year PhD student here. So I'm being jointly advised by Professor Narahari and Siddharth Burman. And my primary area of research is in game theory, and it's in a field known as fair division, which we'll discuss maybe later. And so the plan for this course is to start with basics of probability, and after that we can continue to like cutting edge topics like machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, and so on. So yeah, to start out with, I would like to know what kind of audience I am having right now. So if it's possible, can each one of you just unmute in some order which is showing up in the attendees list, and then introduce yourself? That would be really helpful.
The attendee list is currently muted, so they can only post in the chat box.
Yeah, that works as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, chat box means they can do parallelism as well. All people can present it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, please go in some order. I don't know. You
No
guys may
problem.
have
Yeah.
some roll number or something.
Yeah, first come first. So basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Nikita A, Nisha, and
Yeah.
Sangamesh. Can you children please talk a bit about yourself and what is it that you know about probability, things like that? You can post your messages in the chat box. We can begin with Anchal Jain, Abhay, Abhinash, the ones whose name begins with A. We have Abhinav, Abhishek, Adarsh, Aditya Kumar, Akansha, Amit Prabhu, Anirudh, Antonia, Anusha, Arpana, Archana, Arjun.
Have they started typing? It's not visible for me in the chat box.
Okay, Satvik, NA, KNG, ENG 18 CS 0248 says he's from 6th SEM BTech.
Uh-huh.
Okay. One of the reasons is, yeah, we have Abhinav
Okay.
in the chat. Good morning, sir. I'm Abhinav, third CSC student. I'm very interested in the field of cybersecurity. What I know about probability may be just the typical bookish knowledge. Then this is Abhinav Giridhar. We have Arjun Krishnamurthy. Good morning, all. Probability is the mathematical solution to all vague ideas in life.
That's
Arjun, sir is a faculty member from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering.
Oh,
We have Aditya Kumar, who's from 6M Bachelor of Computer Applications. Children, please feel free to post your, introduce yourself on the chat box. Okay, the couple of minutes will be, getting ourselves introduced, and then the session will begin. Just to let you all know that sir will be teaching every week. So we would just like to understand the student mindset, so it becomes more easy for you children to make the best use of this opportunity and learn more. So yes, we have Akansha who's doing her MTech. Good morning, everyone. I am Akansha from MTech Computer Science Department, first year. We have Arun Kumar, ENG 18CS0047. This is Arun. I'm curious about probabilistic data structures like Bloom filter.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll read out the names
Ma'am,
of the
ma'am,
other.
please
Yes.
feel free to let them just type. I mean, yeah, I just go through it. You
Yeah,
don't have
sure.
to. Yeah, please.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
we also have, thank you, sir, Bhavya Shri, who's from MTech, Binish Rizvi, ENG 18CS0060. Please introduce yourself, both of you. We have Karthik, 18CS0062, and Chandru, David, 18CS0002. Dr. Revati is a faculty member from Computer Science and Engineering. We have Dr. Vasanthi ma'am, who's the head of Bachelor of Computer Applications. Then we have Amog G. Padukone, who's a child from CS department. Anand Desai, Arpita, Arun Kumar, D. Reddy, Sarathi, Dheeraj, Disha Anand, Faisal, Tarun, Divyashri, Niveda, Mahati. All of these are from, I think, 6th semester CSC. Majunu, Maas Khan, please, I apologize if I'm pronouncing your names wrongly, children. Musfira, Maitri, Naveen, Pavitra, Prajwal, Kittur, Prajwal, Prakirti, Rahul, Rajat, Ramesh, Riya, Ritu. All of these are from again Computer Science and Engineering. Sandesh Bhatt, Santosh, Saida, Shrinisha, Vaishali K, Vasu, Sahiti, Vishnu Prasad M, Yashwant, Zuhair. I think Vishnu Prasad, Zuhair, and all of them are from also 6th semester computer science. Then we have a set of computer technology children, starting from Anu, Satvik, Devaki, Harinath, Janvi, Karthik, Nishchal, Pranati, Puneet, Rajesh, Sanjana, Shivraj, Sauparnika, Ashish Sai, Ashish Ranjan, Ashish Sai and Ashish Ranjan and Nityashri are from Computer Science and Engineering. Gautami M, Kokul Das, Hariharan, Ashita, Nityashri, Jatin, Jotna, Karthik B, Kiran, Kishore, Krishnan. Children, those names who I've called, please post your introduction on the chat box.
Yeah.
And do all panelists and attendees so that all of us get to know each other. Do not only check the option of panelist. Krishna Sai, Ishit Reddy, Shritij, Lohit, Mahima. We have Dr. Malana Gowda Patil sir, who's from Computer Science and Engineering Department. Mary, Mohammad Junaid, Moksha, Neha, Nikita, Nitin, Pavan, Pavana, Pujashri, Pranami, Pranav, Pranita, Kishore Kumar, Rakshita, Rashmi, Rishabh Raghavendra, Rihanna, Rutvik. Then we have all of these are BTech 6M and MTech.
Okay.
Sahana, Satish, Saurabh, Shavar, Shailendra, Shambhu, Sharan Patil, Sazia is from MTech, Shraddha, Shravan, Shravani, Shreyas U, Sindhu is from pursuing her MTech, Shiva Prakash, Saumi, Shrishti, Subramanyam, Surya, Syed Ahmad, Tejaswini is from Computer Science and Technology Department. Professor Uma Shankari ma'am is a teacher at Computer Science and Engineering Department. Vallabha, Vanishri, Vaishak, Vidya, Vidyashri, and finally Yashaswin. These are the attendees, sir. We have 158 attendees.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So I went through most of these chats, and I noticed some of them saying that they are familiar with the theoretical side of probability and they'll be more interested in the practical side of it. So, I mean, just to clarify, this will start off as a pure theory course and it'll be more mathematical than anything. And it'll be just pen and paper work. And even in the beginning, like the homework problems I might assign, I mean, not compulsory to submit back, obviously, would be mostly theoretical. And as we get more familiar with all these topics, then we'll gradually move on to the more practical applications. And even then, like I'll be leaning more towards the theory side because uh, I myself am a theory student here. So yeah.
So you're able to share your screen?
Yes, I'll do that. All right. So can we start with the lecture?
Yes, sir. We are able to see your screen.
Okay. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, it is very clear.
Okay, fine. All right. So let me start by asking this question, and like replies to the questions can be just put in the chat box. So what do you think is the need for actually studying probability? Like
So
why
there are,
study probability? Like I would like varied number of answers. I mean, at least 5, 6 of them, like applications of probability, like concrete applications, which you would know. I'll pause for 2 minutes.
so should I read out the answers or will you go through it, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I'll just do that, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir.
So prediction, then calculate the number of success and failure of a company, predicting stock prices, right? Probably is required for predicting and estimating, correct. PageRank algorithm uses a Markov chain, right. Occurrence of an event, probability is a mathematical language to understand problems of life, right? To understand the data, estimate and predict an important part of research investigation, right. Yep. So there are a wide variety of applications you guys have noted. All of them are right, and there's no right or wrong answer as well, because I mean anything ranging from yeah, just guessing what time it is in a day without looking outside to actually like computing financial decisions can I mean these decisions can always be made using the knowledge of probability. To state a few concrete applications, I would start with statistics, which is mostly seen as a branch of probability by many. And this is basically a foundation and the language for speaking about data. Say we want to find the average height of the people in the class. So, or like find the median. So these applications are like derived from statistics. Another application that I would like to note is that in biology. So if you have heard of genetics, so genetics is deeply intertwined with probability. So while calculating, say, inheritance of genes or modeling random mutations, probability is widely used. So inheritance of genes and modeling random mutations. So say, for example, the COVID virus, the mutations that are happening to it can be theoretically modeled using probability. And looking at computer science, there are a lot of applications, to be honest. To look at one of them, it would be just randomized algorithms. And what are randomized algorithms? So while running an algorithm, say you're running a bubble sort. So I hope everyone is familiar with what is bubble sort. You can say yes or no in the chat. Yeah, cool. So most of them have said yes. So it's a deterministic algorithm, if you note it. So every decision that you are gonna take has a determinism to it. It's just basically going through the for loop and then, or while loop, or whatever loop you use, and then going through it in a deterministic fashion. There is no source of randomness involved in it. But whereas, like, if you've seen quicksort, so how many of you have seen quicksort? Everyone has seen quicksort? Cool. So in quicksort, like, you have to fix a pivot. So before you start sorting, like, you pick a pivot and then, like, you partition it into both sides, the items, and then you sort again. So that's how quicksort works. So picking a pivot can be made as a random choice. Like, instead of picking the first element of an array to be the pivot, you can start by picking a random element and fixing it as the pivot and then doing the quicksort procedure. So when you actually analyze the quicksort procedure to know how many steps would it take to run to completion, so that is of roughly of order. What is the for quicksort algorithm? Like, what is the time complexity of quicksort? Right. So n log n, when you say it's n log n, it's not actually n log n all the time, right? So it's n log n in an average sense. So when you do the analysis, like, it's a randomized algorithms analysis, which you do, and then you get n log n. So it's theta of n log n. But what is the worst case that quicksort can run? Right, exactly. So it can be n square and n log n. So why does this happen? This happens due to the randomization that is happening, and n log n is actually better than n square, which is actually helping you. So in randomized algorithms, using randomness from external sources actually help you to improve even time complexity of algorithms. Okay, and there are many more other applications in just randomized algorithms, which we can see towards the end of the course. And also, randomized algorithms play a major role in, like, machine learning algorithms. Machine learning algorithms are basically random in some sense, controlled randomness. Okay, next example would be gambling. So probability started out in the past, basically from questions arising from the field of gambling. So does everyone know what is gambling? Right. Yeah. So these questions actually, so there's a game which is known as poker. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it. It's basically a card game, and the person who deals the cards gives you a few cards, and then you have to sort of guess which cards the other person has, and based on what hand you have, what cards you have in your hand, and what cards other person has, you have to make certain decisions. That's what a game of poker is. And in a game of poker, like, you can actually calculate the probability of having a particular hand for the other person, like looking at the card.
Uh, yeah, I think none of us are able to see him or hear him.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think we'll just wait for a few minutes. I think he may get back or coming up again back. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Anand, we lost you when you were mentioning about gambling, poker. Yeah, yeah. And audio is audio is muted, I think. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
sure.
is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just mentioning about gambling, and it probability came out from questions that arise from gambling. That's all what I was saying. And I mean, for more info about gambling, you can just go and watch the movie 21. That's it. And yeah, so moving forward, another major thing which relies on probably, as many of you said, is life. And life is basically all of uncertainty, and you never know what is going to happen the next moment. And I mean, theoretically, it should be possible to at least model this, but yeah, no one has come up with that. So yeah, so these are few major applications of probability. And so I think this provides you guys enough motivation to actually study probability. Cool. So let's just dive into the major topic. Okay. So we have checked why study probability. Cool. So is everyone able to see this diagram? I'll just copy paste it here. Can everyone see this? Okay. Okay. So so does anyone, I mean, can anyone say what is a sample space? Like a naive definition would work. So here, what is the sample space for this particular problem? Which I would just say as there are like a collection of pebbles here, like there are 9 pebbles, and yeah, all possible outcomes exactly. So yeah, the set of all possible outcomes is the sample space, right? And we denote sample space using omega. Right. When you have to talk about the sample space, you need to mention what experiment you are up to. So here, let's say we need to see how many pebbles fall in the event A. So I have not defined what an event is, but I'm just hoping like everyone understands what an event A is here. So A is basically the red box marked here, and B is again an event of black dotted lines. Okay. The question is, what is an event? Like, to be precise. So you said the omega, which is the sample space, is the set of all possible outcomes. And what would be an event in that case? So intuitively, it's clear it's just these 5 balls or pebbles here, which is event A. Right. The desired result is an event. Right. So an event is a desired result. Right. Okay. And so now let's say, I mean, I hope everyone is familiar with what is set theory. Are people familiar with sets? Okay. So to dive right into probability, we would need a few prerequisites. So here, the sample space is a set of all possible outcomes, and an event can be either A or B or any other event which we are concerned about. Okay. So to start with, let's see a few notations in sets. Okay. So what is a set? A set is just a collection of elements. Okay. And sets can be notated as in. So this is a set A with 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the order does not matter here. Okay. The same A can also be represented as X, such that X is less than or equal to 5 and X is a natural number. Right. So are these notations clear? All right. Yeah. So someone is asking, why is an event a desired outcome? So desired doesn't mean like something that a person would want, as in like a disease is not something a person wants, but it's a possible outcome which might be of interest. Say, for example, how many people would get affected by corona? So in that case, getting corona is like an event. It's not desired in that sense, but I hope you understand. Is that doubt clear? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, going back to the set notation, is the notation clear for everyone? So A is a set here with 5 elements, and A can be represented in 2 ways, both of which are equivalent. Is that clear? Cool. Okay. So now let's see a few definitions in related to sets. Okay. So what does this denote? So there's a set A and there is a set B, right? A is a subset of B, correct? Okay, just a trick question. What does this mean? No. So have you heard of what is a proper subset and what is an improper subset? Right, exactly. So it's a proper subset. Yeah. So a proper subset, which means, let's say A is a set here, and a proper subset of A would be 1, 2, 3, and an improper subset would be B, which is just exactly A. And A subset of B, this notation captures B equal to A, whereas A as a proper subset of B does not capture B equal to A. That's the difference. And also phi, which is the empty set, is a subset of every set. All right. Okay. Fine. Then the next notation we'll see is A equals B. Okay. So, okay, just to make sure everyone understands, what does this mean? A is a superset of B, right? Everyone knows what a superset is, right? Okay, so A is a superset of B, and with this notation, I mean A is a subset of B. Okay, okay. I'll just mark these two. Now, can someone say what is A equal to B by this notation? So it just means A is a subset of B and A is a superset of B. Okay. Oh, sorry. Just a second. Sorry. So A equal to B is clear for everyone. So A and B are sets, and you define A equal to B when A is a subset of B and also A is a superset of B. Okay. So to make everything more precise, there is a universal set U, and when you write U denotes the universe, which is the set of all elements. Set of all elements that you want to look at for a given experiment, and phi is the empty set with no elements inside it. So let's look at what operations can be performed on a set. So the first operation we'll see is complement. Okay, so to define complement, you need the notion of a universe. Why? Because what is a complement? So if there is a set A complement is defined as all elements X such that X is not an element of A, but X is an element of U. So without the notion of this universe, you wouldn't be able to define A complement. So say, for example, you're doing some experiment which has, say, 5 pebbles inside it, and like you want to count the number of number of times you draw a pebble from a bag, and there are 5 pebbles in a bag, and then you want to draw a pebble, and you want to look at the event where you're drawing, say, 1 pebble. So it's a random draw, and you don't know how many pebbles are going to come inside your hand. So it's a random draw. So say we'll define it properly. So A is the number of elements. That's not defined. Number of pebbles in a given draw, starting with 5 pebbles. So the experiment is as follows. You have 5 pebbles, and you have to draw some random number of pebbles. And what is the probability? Or like, let's not even go to probability. So A is just the event that the number of pebbles in a given draw is concerned with. So how would you define A properly? Can anyone come up with a definition for A? So these are things that we are concerned about. The pebbles that we draw in a given time. So how would we define A is the question. So simply to look at it, A is simply the set of all pebbles. Right, A is the event of drawing pebbles, right? So you see A and you draw X number of pebbles, and it's just one draw that you're concerned with. So X is the number of pebbles that you draw, and X is a pebble. And so this is the set of all pebbles that you draw. So let's have numbers for pebbles to make things concrete. So say we have 5 pebbles and it's numbered as 4 rows. So A, when you make a draw, A would have say 1, 2, 3 in it. Or it can be just 1, 2, or any of these possible combinations. So the next question would be, how many possible events are there in this case? So you have 5 pebbles and you need to draw a random number of pebbles from it. And the question is, how many possible events are there? So this is an example of an event. This is also an example of an event. So can someone tell me how many subsets? Okay, that gives you the answer. Right, right, right. Exactly. So you can either pick one or not pick one. So that would be 2 to the 5. And n is 5, so 2 to the 5. Right. So the number of possible events here are 2 to the 5, right, which is just 32. Fine. Okay. So now you have seen a concrete example of what sample space is, which is here the set of these all 5 pebbles. And you have seen an event, a particular event where you just want to know like which pebbles you have picked up. Okay, cool. Now let's come back to the definition of A complement. So looking at this, if you don't have, say, the universe of 5 pebbles, what would be A complement? So what is A complement is my question. So say you don't have any universe here and you're just talking with respect to all possible elements. So what is A complement? It's a trick question in the sense that, I mean, you have a bag full of pebbles. Exactly. So the elements which are not present in A. Exactly. This is a definition. Okay. So what does it mean to be not present in A? So what is A? A is just the collection of pebbles that you have drawn. And since you know that there are 5 pebbles, you can say that it's, so if A is 1, 2, 3, then you know that A complement is exactly 4 and 5. But if A was not defined appropriately, say like you did not know that there were only 5 pebbles, then defining A complement is a very hard thing. So A complement would be all those elements, including 4 and 5, and you would have every single other element in this world. Since you don't know what is the universe, and the universe is by default defined to be every other element, including A. So the universe would be just huge and you wouldn't have any purpose with it. So to be concrete, you always have to define U so that you can appropriately define probabilities for these events. I hope that's clear. Was the idea of A complement clear to everyone? Okay, 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 fine. So now that we have defined A complement, so everyone should be familiar with these Venn diagrams, right? Have you guys heard Venn diagrams? Ah, okay, nice. So everyone knows what is a Venn diagram. So say I have the following Venn diagram. A is an event, B is another event, and U is the set. Okay, so how would you define A complement? So A complement would be everything outside A. So which would include this part and also B. A complement, right? Is that clear for everyone? A complement would include this part and also this part in B. Fine. Okay. So now we know what is A complement. Now let's talk about unions. A union B. So does everyone know what a union is? Okay, okay. So union is just an element, the collection of all elements X, such that X is in A or X is in B. Fine. And yeah, everyone would also know intersection. So intersection of A and B is just the collection of all elements X, such that X is in A and X is in B. Okay. To go back to the Venn diagram, A union B would be just all elements inside A and all elements inside B, including this intersection. I hope that's clear. And A intersection B would just be this part. Okay. These Venn diagrams are quite useful in solving problems, simple problems in probability. So have a good grasp of it. Like when you think about problems in probability, you can think of them as sets, and the sets can be represented using Venn diagrams when there are only finite number of them. And like when it grows beyond 3, like when you have more than 3 events, then it's not really helpful, but at least till 3 you can actually compute things using Venn diagrams alone. So okay, so I would like to ask a question here. What would be the uh, so number of elements in A union B? So can someone tell me what is this? So the number of elements in A union B would be exactly. So size of A plus size of B minus size of A intersection. Right. So everyone would be familiar with this. Okay. Just as a homework, try to find out what this is. And by doing this, also try to generalize how do you do AI I equal to 1 to n. So say you have sets A1, A2 till AN. These are sets, and you take union of these sets. Okay. So what would be the size of this union? That's the question. So the hint is as follows. You see this, try to see what this is, and then try to generalize. So this is homework. Okay, fine. So we have seen what unions and intersections are. Okay. Now let's towards the end of this, let's also see what is known as De Morgan's law. So before that, let's see what is known as a relative complement. Okay. So does anyone know what this is? Can someone tell me what A minus B is? So A minus B, when you look at the Venn diagram, if this is A and this is B, this is A minus B. So you include only elements in A which are not in B. Exactly. Yeah. So set of all elements in A which are not in B. So how would you write it? Set of all elements in A such that X is in A and X not in B. So this is the way you define relative complements. So this is also known as minus or relative complement. Okay. Right. Now the next notion would be that of Cartesian product A cross B. So say you have a set A with few elements such that X is in A. Okay. Let's B such that Y is in B. Okay. So what is A cross B here? Can someone tell me what is A cross B? Also tell me what is B cross A. Exactly. So AB such that A is an element of A and B is an element of B. And B cross A is similar. B is an element of B and A is an element of A. The order matters. That's the thing that you have to note. So in A cross B, AB is the tuple where A comes from A. But in B cross A, the first element is B, small b, which comes from the capital set B. Okay. So now we have seen what is a cross product. Okay. Now let's just see what is a power set. Okay. So what is this? So power set is basically the set of all possible subsets of A. So say if A is 1, 2, what would be the power set? Okay. So this is the power set of A. So you consider all the possible subsets of A and you call it as a power set. Okay. So the number of power sets of the cardinality of the power set is given by 2 to the mod A, where mod A is the size of A. And yeah, as you guys answered before, that's how you computed the other question that I asked for sets. The number of possible events for the Pebble case was exactly 2 to the mod set the sample space size, and the sample space size was 5 then. So 2 to the 5 and hence 32. Okay. Okay. Now, so we'll see one last thing before we conclude. And it's one of these cornerstone formulas that we would have seen, which is known as De Morgan's law. Okay. So what is De Morgan's law? Okay, let's just start with 3 sets. So say we have 3 sets, A, B, and C. So A intersection B union C is what? Also A union B intersection C is what? Okay. Can someone tell me what these are? Exactly. A union C intersection. Yeah. You're right. So A union C intersection B union C. Yeah, I think that's a typo. Right. And what would be the next one? A intersection similar. A intersection C union B intersection C. Okay. So yeah, trying to prove this would be interesting. That can be done as a homework maybe. Try to prove why this is true. I mean, just use Venn diagrams to prove this. And hint would be to use Venn diagrams. Okay. And to generalize this for say many sets, we can do as follows. Okay. So say there are n sets A1 through AN, then this will be the generalized De Morgan's law. Okay. So these are the major notions that we would be requiring from set theory to proceed with probability. And yeah, we haven't formally started probability yet. This was just a prerequisite of probability, which would be just set theory. And it would be good if before the next class, like everyone gets familiar with set notations more and look at few examples in say the textbook Sheldon Ross, Introduction to Probability, or another text that I would suggest is this textbook by Blitzstein. Huang. Okay. So, I mean, I would suggest people looking at Sheldon Ross first and yeah, then moving towards Blitzstein. So I would suggest everyone get familiar with this before next class. And in next class, we'll see what are functions and what are the kinds of functions we can have just as a prerequisite for probability. And that will be a quick introduction to functions. So, I mean, it will also be good if you guys look at functions. With function, I mean a function from a set A to set B and associated properties with it, which would be so it would be good if you get familiar with these concepts before the next class so that we can directly proceed to probability. So I'll take a pause here and then stop for quick questions. So we have 5 minutes for questions and feedback. So if you guys think I'm fast, you can let me know. And if you think I'm slow, you can just mention it in the chat so that I can pace myself accordingly. All right. Yeah. So actually, someone pointed it out very rightly. These are distributive laws, and I just wanted to make sure people are attentive. Cool. Yeah. So can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if there are more questions, I can wait.
Students, any more questions?
So I would also like to know, I mean, if the class was fast or slow, or I mean, any other suggestions would be.
Since this is their first class, I think they'll say take some time to get adjusted. They feel a little shy to
Okay.
give feedback on the first day itself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no problem. So I mean, just mama, like it was okay for you, or should I be slow? Or...
No, sir, it was perfect. I think you went through the fundamentals very nicely.
Okay.
So, yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'll meet everyone next class. It just ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, the next class would be next Friday, same time,
Yes, sir.
9:45.
Yes, sir. 9:45 to 10:45.
Okay. So is there a way to like share this in a group or something?
Yes, sir. What I'll do is I'll create a Google group of all these students.
Yes,
And shall I also add you to the Google group so that you
Yes,
can share the notes?
Yes, ma'am. So I will share these notes then.
Okay, sir, there are two options, Google Group or Google Classroom. Which one would you prefer? We also have a Google Classroom. It's a tool where students can enroll and teachers can assign, maybe share notes.
Okay.
Google
so,
Group is more of an email, a set of emails
Yes.
together.
I mean, I haven't personally used Google Classroom. So, I mean, it would be, yeah, we can start with Google Classroom. That should be fine.
Sure, sir, I'll do that.
Please, I mean, yeah, please use my IISc mail ID.
Yeah, I'll be using your
Thank
IIS
you.
email.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
See you guys. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.